can't see your picture.
Now please keep quiet. Assalamu alaikum, good evening and welcome to tonight's episode of Talking Point. I'm your host Syed Niaz Ahmed. With us is a gentleman, a very renowned journalist from India, Mohammad Wajiuddin. He is senior editor at Times of India, Mumbai. Welcome to the show, sir. How are you today? I can't hear you.
Yeah, I'm I fine. I'm fine. I'm fine.
Great.
Thank you very much.
It's nice to have you, and sorry for the confusion in timings, but so we have lost some time. But anyway, for the benefit of our viewers, since you are here for the first time, please tell us something about yourself. How did Mr. Mohammad Wajiuddin became what he is today, a journalist at Times of India?
Okay. So to tell you briefly about myself, that I am with the Times of India for the last 15 years. But before that, I worked with another big renowned newspaper, very famous newspaper in India, Indian Express. And before that, Asian Age. So I actually started with the Asian Age in Mumbai. And I have lived in this city for the more than 2 decades. And I basically come from a village in Bihar. It's a very remote village, and I was educated initially in Hindi medium. Now you would ask me that how did the Times of India come in my life, and how did I become a journalist? India's and the world's largest newspaper, that is Times of India. So my father sent me to Aligarh Muslim University in 1985, and he wanted me to become a doctor. But somehow, while I was at AMU, Aligarh Muslim University, my interest in science subjects and becoming journalist sort of waned, and I wanted to study English literature, history, and basically, human interest stories that really sort of inspired me, and that's how I changed my stream, not at AMU, but at Patna, and then I did my graduation in history, and then I came to journalism. So this is the passion. The journalism is my passion and profession as well. Though my father, late father, he didn't like it, but I am happy what I do.
Great to have you with us and get to know your background. I would like you to be candid about what is the current situation in India with regard to the politics. You have had an election recently where the ruling party suffered defeats in so many places, but probably they have done well, but not as well as they wanted to and wished to, particularly in West Bengal, where they were expecting a victory, but they did not. And overall, the Bharatiya Janata Party, BJP, has not been as successful as it was expected to. What are your views on that?
Yeah, so the Bharatiya Janata Party, because it claims to be the largest political party in the world, and it had its resources, and as far as the Bengal election is concerned, there were many rallies that Prime Minister himself, Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself addressed. Then the second man in the government, who is the Home Minister Amit Shah, he went there many times. The entire machinery of BJP and the government was there, and who they were fighting with or fighting against. It was Mamata Banerjee, who was a single woman army, who was fighting, who was tackling everything. She was replying to all the barbs, all the accusations, all the attacks that were directed against her. But thanks to Mamata Banerjee's own style of functioning, she has been a street fighter. She herself is a street fighter. And she sort of coined, certain slogans which really worked in her favor. When, Prime Minister Modi sort of tried to taunt her, tease her with Didi, oh Didi. And, you have the Bangla background. you know, what does that mean? So it was kind of, the women basically, the women voters didn't like it. Because, you know, the Mamta Didi, when we call her Mamta, that is she is elder sister.
Yes.
And we know that the sisters are respected. So the people of Bengal, West Bengal, they didn't like it that she was being teased, she was being, you know, given a kind of catcalls of, you know, Didi or Didi. So she coined a different language and she said that Khela Hope. Now, you know, Bengal, whether it's East Bengal, West Bengal, which is Bangladesh or our West Bengal, they are mad about, you know, Khela, that is football. So the Khela Hobe and Jai Ho, you know, Jai Bangla.
Victory.
So so the Jai Bangla, victory to Bangla. So she, you know, stood by what the Bengal or Bengalis stand for,
Right.
and their asmita, their pride, their sort of honor, that became her, you know, the signature tunes, and that's how it worked in her favor. Though the BJP increased this number from 3 to 77, but Mamta Banerjee also increased her number from the last time, and she made the government with a, for, you know, kind of comfortable majority. So she has been able to withstand the kind of blizzard of,
Right.
you know, attacks or campaigns that the Prime Minister Modi had led himself. And somehow she has been incredible in her own style of functioning, and she is their chief minister
Right.
again.
Right.
As far as the national politics is concerned, you know, the BJP, of course, didn't do much there. They retained Assam, and somehow, but in Kerala, they had one seat which they lost. In Tamil Nadu, they didn't do well. So, apart from Assam, and of course in Pondicherry, there's a small state which used to be the Congress, you know, government. So they sort of, BJP formed this government in Pondicherry, which is the southern tip of India, and we were, you know, in association with or in alliance with another small party. But overall, you can't say that the BJP is really, you know, everything is good, hunky-dory with the party. Not yet. But we don't know what will happen tomorrow. But today, because of the crisis that we face, the greatest health crisis of the century,
Right.
you know, in India.
Here-
So the situation
here I
as
would
far
like
as
to ask you-
socially and otherwise, it's not good.
Here I would like
Yeah.
to ask you that the state elections have revealed the weakness of the ruling party.
Of course.
What-
So the state election, especially Bengal, has shown that the BJP is no longer invincible. It can be defeated if the regional parties come together, and even if you have a strong regional leader and the regional leader stays with the basic issues of the people, they can defeat BJP easily.
But can BJP mend its you know, the situation and its prestige that it has been humiliated in the general elections?
They can. You know, they will always, they have been trying to do this. And the problem here is that, you know, the BJP tries to play the cards that is, they tried here in Bengal as well. You know, when it comes to, when you communalize, when you polarize the voters again, you know, along religious lines, if you play the card of Hindu-Muslim, then, and if you have been able to do that, you can certainly win. But in a state like West Bengal, they tried to do that there, but they didn't succeed. Because
Right.
perhaps the BJP failed
How?
to read the minds of the Bengalis.
How has the COVID factor, the corona epidemic factor, influenced the epidemic, or the election results? How has the corona factor impacted on the election and the election results?
Yeah, actually, the corona factor, to an extent, you know, I think the BJP tried to influence the election commission, and Mamta Banerjee and other leaders kept telling them that, you know, please get it over with it, you know, don't stretch it to a month, almost a month, you know, in 8 phases. It was for the first time that the elections, state elections, went in 8 phases. So we had month-long electioning going on. So by the time the last phases came, last 3 phases came, the COVID had, had started showing its impact, and people were dying, people were suffering, people were going for, oxygen concentrators. There were shortage reports of oxygen shortages. People were dying in hospitals. So to an extent, yes. But initially, I would not say that there was a huge impact of COVID in these elections, because by the time the COVID showed its impact, the elections were almost on their last legs. So there was not much impact as far as COVID is concerned. But yes, to an extent, because it was exposed that the government had not been able to sort of handle the situation. There was mismanagement. They should have, as they had promised, they should have established or sort of set up oxygen plants. They should have built more hospitals. They should have built infrastructure. The health infrastructure is in shambles. So that's how we have so many deaths here in India.
Yep. We will talk about that in detail, inshallah, in the next segment. But now it's time for us to take a break at the moment. So we'll see you after the break. Thank you very much for being with us. We are sorry about the start of the delay in the start of this program, but because of that was because of technical reasons. Sorry about that. See you in a minute. Thank you.
Okay.
Welcome back. We were talking to our guest today, Muhammad Wajihuddin. He is senior editor at Times of India, Mumbai. Times of India is considered as the world's largest newspaper, the largest circulation. We'll talk about that later if we have time. But I was going to ask our guest today that India seems to have a very good have built up a very good relationship with many countries in Europe and America, but when it comes to nearer home, it seems the picture is not as bright or as pleasant as it should be or should have been. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So when you rightly sort of pointed out that India has not been as friendly with its neighbors as it seems to be with other, far off countries like Europe and America. And let us start with Bangladesh only, because, in the last 1 year, Bangladesh is the only country where our Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, visited. And he visited very recently. And when he visited, there was a lot of talks about politics. Of course, Bangladesh has been traditionally very close to us, very close to India, Indian hearts, and we, always love each other. But because of the, the CAA, the Citizenship Amendment Act, and NRC, that the Indian government wants to bring in India, that had created some sort of, kind of differences between the two countries. And Mr. Modi tried to, because the elections were going on in Bengal, our West Bengal, so he went to certain areas where he tried to influence. These were the talks in the media. He tried to influence some voters by visiting those places.
Right.
He has always tried to use religion. He would go to temples, whichever countries he travels to, he would go to temples, because I have no problem with visiting temples or mosques or synagogues or whatever your faith allows you. But when you try to play politics, it seems, and it becomes quite clear. So Bangladesh is okay, fine, but as far as the other neighbor is Pakistan, and the Pakistan relation with India is very frozen. Though when Mr. Modi came to power in India, there were a lot of apprehensions, and he gave a big surprise to everyone by visiting, Nawaz Sharif, if you remember, for a tea party at a Nawaz Sharif place all of a sudden. Nobody knew that. And perhaps it was in his mind, but nobody knew that, he would drop in for a very, very small time in Lahore, and he went there. But just after that, we had a huge problem here that, there was a terrorist attack, and then another thing happened, after Pulwama, when around 40 or so our soldiers were killed, car bomb blast. So after that, the Balakot happened, and Balakot bombing happened, and the relationship that was somehow coming on track, it just went out of the way, and completely the two countries again went to those moments when you are not on talking terms, and you seem to behave like enemies. You try to treat each other like enemies. So that stands, and Pakistan, the relationship between India and Pakistan has been not so good, and we are still there. We don't know when moments will come when the relationship will normalize.
Yeah, but they still play cricket.
Yeah, so once the relationship normalizes, then only the people, at least the people to people dialogues are not happening, because people are not going there. They have a relationship here, there.
Right.
The people have so many relationships because they enjoy the same language, they have the same culture, they have same history, they were part of us. So so the people also suffer because of the government's policies. The
now,
people also suffer.
What is, I mean, like, today we are reading about what they call, quote unquote, conflict between Israel and Palestine. And India at one time was very active member of the non-aligned movement. And they used to support the Palestinian cause. But right now it seems that they have shifted a little bit, and their interest lies somewhere else, being so close to America. And in some days, Mr. Modi was very friendly with Mr. Trump.
But, to tell you frankly, that this time, the India's role and statement of our sort of envy there, it has been quite measured. In fact, it has been welcomed by the lot of Muslim organizations in Urdu press and Muslim organizations. They all welcome, because we sort of thought that India would completely abandon the Palestinian and the Palestinian cause, but the statement was a bit measured. It was not completely either in favor of the Israelis or to the Palestinians, but it was quite balanced. So this time it was welcomed by the Muslim organizations, many Muslims who have, of course, we have sympathized with the Palestinians, because we believe that the Palestinians have a reason to be there, and you cannot wish away. And as far as the solution is concerned, I don't know when the solution will come, but we believe that the two-state solution, which was sort of envisaged, should be there.
As it was agreed in Oslo, that they can exist.
Oslo Accord, according to the Oslo Accord, so the two-state solution is the only way out of this conflict. And no amount, how much you bomb, how much rockets you fire, and how much you casualties. Of course, there cannot be comparison between Israelis, power of army and their other ways, resources with Hamas. But wherever the lives are lost, we really feel bad. We are pained by that, the loss of lives on either side, because the innocents have no reason to die.
Right.
And they should not be. Yeah.
There is another enemy amongst us these days, that is Corona. But India has reported about this black fungus. India has reported more than 8,000 cases of deadly black fungus. It's a growing epidemic of great concern.
Of course, it is a great concern for the medical fraternity also, and for the people here, because we are already suffering from COVID-19, and now we hear about this black fungus. So we have not even dealt with COVID so far, because India is a huge country, and unless 70% of people are vaccinated, you cannot sort of, fight this enemy, which is invisible corona. So a huge number of people are still to be vaccinated. And you know that in January itself, our Prime Minister, he came on the line and live, and he said that India had almost sort of won this war against COVID, which was a kind of hubris, which was a kind of the expectations that they had, and somehow we misjudged the country, and the leadership misjudged. It didn't take the advice of the scientists, the doctors. They were telling them that the second wave would come, and when the second wave came, we were not prepared. We didn't have the right amount of number of vaccines here, and our infrastructure was really in bad shape. We didn't have the hospitals, we didn't have the oxygen, and that's how you see the shortage of oxygen. People have died because of the shortage of oxygen.
Right. It's a matter of great distress that India is a country that has more billionaires than any other country. It is an emerging economy, and yet it has not been able to handle the situation, even in its own capital, Delhi.
Of course, it's quite distressing and painful that Delhi being the capital of India, so many deaths have happened in Delhi, and there are reports that people have run from pillar to post looking for oxygen cylinders, looking for the hospital beds, and in fact, there were many highly placed people, those who want the hospital beds for their own relatives. They have trouble. Forget about other common man. Even the high-placed officers, politicians, even there was a tweet by a minister who was found to be appealing to the district magistrate and telling him that please find a bed for my relative. So the situation is so bad. But somehow I hope we will be able to fight this demon, and we will win. And I don't know when the corona will go away, but we'll certainly try to win the battle here.
Well, we can hope, CG, but we also have to have the system in place. Otherwise, hoping alone will not help. See,
of course.
We can hope and pray, but unless we prepare ourselves to fight coronavirus and black fungus, we won't. There will be more deaths. Unfortunate situations will arise with no ventilators, no oxygen, and no hospital beds, and the hospital doors closed. It will be a disaster for any country, and we hope that it doesn't happen anywhere in the world, and more so in a country where things are not ready. As you said before, that we need to have vaccination, and probably I was reading somewhere that it will be 2023 that India will be able to vaccinate every single person in the country. See, so that
if India goes at this speed, then if we increase our speed, if we increase our number of vaccines, if we produce more vaccines and start giving vaccine to the people, then we can win the battle earlier.
Inshallah, inshallah. Thank you very much for being with us, and I hope that our viewers have come out a little bit more well informed about the whole situation in India. See you again, same time next week. In the meantime, take care.